all the women's wrestlers had to go out in the middle of the show on live events and dance in the ring to Let's Get Loud and throw out t-shirts. Like, this is what and this was 2014.
I know.
2015. Like, what are we freaking talking about?
This is Good One. I am Jesse David Fox, senior writer at Vulture and author of Comedy Book. My guest this week is Rebecca Quin, aka the WWE Superstar Becky Lynch. If you watch professional wrestling, she is genuinely one of the most famous people in the entire world. If you don't, you should know that she's the greatest female wrestler of all time. And it's not just me saying it, other people are saying it. As she likes to point out, Sports Illustrated and Bleacher Report both rank her #1 on their list of the top female wrestlers of all time. Not for nothing, for my money, no one in wrestling is doing funnier, more compelling character work than Becky has been this past year. With WrestleMania 42 coming up this month, we talk about her biggest WrestleMania moments of the past, including when she became the first woman ever to main event wrestling's biggest night. So, here is Becky Lynch. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
This is a question I've only asked when I've had drag queens on, which is, in a situation like this, how would you like to be introduced? Like, what name do I introduce you?
Oh, that's a great question. In WWE, I go by Becky Lynch, but my government name is Rebecca Quin. So kind of makes it a little bit easy. You know, it's a little bit tricky still.
Yeah. So you kind of say, because the first name's kind of the same.
Yeah.
So I'm here with Rebecca Quin, a.k.a. Becky Lynch.
Yes, a.k.a. the man, a.k.a. Big Time Bex, a.k.a. the last kick. I've got so many names.
Go on. We have plenty of time. So the first question we like to ask, what is the funniest, strangest, or most fascinating thing that's happened to you this week?
I suppose maybe the funniest thing that happened to me this week was, I think I'm pretty bad with names. Mm-hmm. But my daughter, who's 5, is somehow way worse. And, I kind of blame my career. She has no excuse, I suppose, other than being 5.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were asking her, Rue, do you know what Daddy's wrestling name is? No. Do you know what Mommy's wrestling name is? Becky Lynch. Nice. Okay, so that set it up that week, this week, earlier this week. And then I was watching Raw, and on it they said, and on SmackDown, it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. And Rue goes, my daughter, she goes, Cody Rhodes, that's my daddy. It's like, no, that's not your daddy. That's not your daddy. Your daddy is Seth Rollins.
Yeah. But to be fair, Cody and Colby to a little kid is the same word.
It is the same. But then later on, we were at, a few days later, we were at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And we were with some friends' kids who were huge wrestling fans. And so my daughter thought it would be a huge flex to tell them that her daddy knows Libby's daddy. Libby's daddy is Cody Rhodes. Mm-hmm. But she was like, do you know that my daddy knows Libby's daddy? And I was like, Rue,
just to her, Libby's the most famous person in the context.
And I said, Rue, do you know what Libby's daddy's name is? No. So bad with names. It's terrible. It must be a family thing. Anyway.
That's good.
Kid fun.
They say the darndest things.
They do say the darndest things, but I think that was the most. Did anything else fascinating happen to me?
That was good.
That was funny, but it was probably just like funny for me and those
I found it funny.
Okay, all right.
I think the sentence "Cody Rhodes is my daddy" said by your daughter will be people will like that quite a bit.
It'll be clickable.
It could be clickable, and that's what we're here.
That's
so
that clickbait.
You're the first wrestler I've had on this show.
Oh,
welcome.
Thank you.
So before we talk about this WrestleMania, I felt for context for new fans, we talk about a couple of your previous WrestleManias. So I'd like to start with WrestleMania 35, which was in 2019, which you became the first woman to main event WrestleMania when you fought Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. And to tell that story, I was wondering if you could tell the story of the man's story, one of the most iconic moments in the history of wrestling, as if you've never told that story before.
Right. Let's go. Okay, so I started wrestling when I was 15 years old. And I was out of shape. I was a delinquent. I was up to no good. I was failing PE in school. I was just awful. And I decided that pro wrestling would be my way of getting in shape. And I went down and I fell in love with it in a way that I had never loved anything before. I quickly learned that hard work pays off. And I was like, oh, wow. I thought this was something that only was said in American TV shows. I didn't know that this was a real thing. And so I started working at it and I traveled all over the world. I left home. I was wrestling in Japan, main eventing over there and all this stuff. And then like at the time, the women in WWE were more of a side show act. You know, it was bra and panties matches and it was mud wrestling matches and it was stuff that I was like, I don't want to do that. And ain't nobody going to be paying to see me freaking hit somebody with a pillow and me knickers, you know? So that wasn't a career option for me. I wanted to wrestle like the guy. I wanted to be seen in the same light, in the same vein as the guys. I wanted to, my heroes were Mick Foley and The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I wanted to be like them. But I thought it wasn't possible. So at 19, I thought, you know, I got to give up this dream, get a real job, join the workforce, get a mortgage. And so I left wrestling for like 7 years. And it was by some miracle that I ended up back in wrestling. And I got signed to WWE 25. And at that time, with women, it was also like 25 was the cutoff age. 18 to 25. And if you're older than that, you're an old spinster and we can't make money off you. You know what I mean? That was what it was seen as. And I remember going for my tryout and I told one of my friends, I want to main event WrestleMania. And my friend, who was a very supportive friend, so I mean this with love, when he said, it's nice to have dreams, but be realistic.
Yeah, well, that was something right there because like that's a dream that you're dreaming a thing that literally has never been done before.
Never been done before.
How does a person think to do that?
And also the state of the women's division, it deemed impossible.
Yeah.
Like there's no way in hell you were ever going to get there. And when I got to WWE, I had left wrestling for 7 years and spent 7 years thinking like, I should be doing this thing, but I gave it up and I had this gift and it's gone. And I was so, do you curse?
Yeah, you can curse.
Head fucked that I couldn't put one foot in front of the other. I couldn't. I was so in my own head that I was just like, I just got to stay. And I was on the chopping block constantly. I was the worst person in class. The only redeeming factor that I had was that I could cut a promo. Yeah. I could talk. And if it wasn't for Dusty Rhodes being like, she's got something, I would have been gone. Yeah. So I didn't see myself as somebody who could push for anything. Like at one point I was this extra, this rosebud of a guy called Adam Rhodes, and I would come out with silly hair and dance like a lunatic. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to be the best rosebud. And I would just do everything that I could to keep my job. Yeah. Not ever thinking like, at that point, it was like, but one day they'll see something in me. But it was only me thinking it. Yeah. Absolutely nobody else thought that I would
you were not
do
being
anything.
Groomed for this.
No. And we had people that were being groomed for this because they were stars. They had Charlotte Flair. She looked amazing. She was Ric Flair's daughter and she was athletic as all hell. And even if she wasn't Ric Flair's daughter, she had a natural ability for this thing. And then you had Sasha Banks and you had Paige. You had these stars, these girls that, okay, these are people that we can put on TV and they are going to do it. They're gonna be stars. And then we have Becky. God bless, what the hell are we gonna do with Becky? What this problem that we have with Becky? But I was pretty relentless, and what I lacked in ability, I made up for with enthusiasm. Yes. So I was very enthusiastic in my awfulness, and so they eventually, because of this said enthusiasm, they put me on TV. At that point, in like practice matches, I'd been doing a silly Irish jig. So that was going to be my money-making character. Everybody will know what that is. Of course, I'm the Irish girl. Why wouldn't I jig? Except that I don't know how to jig and it's stupid. So I made the worst, most embarrassing debut in the history of wrestling. Maybe second only to Shockmaster, but actually maybe worse.
Yeah.
Because at least he didn't intend to fall. I intended to jig. So after that, I think it was like, okay, well, this is going to be our jobber for life, you know? And so because Hunter had taken over NXT and he saw what we wanted in the women's division, he saw that if you give women stories and you know, I was there. I was in the mix. So once I was in the mix, I was in the mix. So I kind of got opportunities mostly to lose, but I did have a connection with the audience. I could connect with the audience. I think because I love it. And I think there's this sixth sense that wrestling fans have that whether or not you're good, they will forgive your mistakes if they know that you care and they know that you're passionate and they know that you try. If you're not, you can be the most athletic person in the world, but if there's no soul, there's no heart, they'll see through it. They'll be out. And so gradually they kind of connected with me, and then gradually I got more opportunities, and then gradually I kind of started to believe in myself, and I got better, and then I got brought to the main roster and we did something with me. And I came up in a time where we were called the Four Horsewomen. It was myself, Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair and Bayley, and we were changing the way people saw women's wrestling, and we were having these matches that were better than the men's most times and should have been the main event of most shows because they were the best matches. And people saw this and they got into it. And then when we got up on the main roster, then people wanted to see that. And there was a lot of time where it kind of like we peaked and then it fell off and then it got a little bit messy. And, you know, but the stars were always Sasha and Charlotte.
Yeah. And
then I was the kind of one simmering underneath. But I had this connection with the audience that whether or not I was in the top spot, they cared about me. And I was this happy-go-lucky character, man. And when I wouldn't get time on TV, which was often, I would make these videos for, at the time it was WWE.com, and people would go on .com. I mean, it's still .com, but like that was where it happened instead of social media. But I would also do these silly videos or what I thought was hilarious on .com or on social. And it was kind of, and that endeared me to the audience more.
And they sort of build.
So it was like this simmer where people wanted to see me get my opportunity, but they would always put in somebody else. And they did it where I was going for the championship at SummerSlam against Carmella, and they slotted Charlotte Flair into that match, and people were like, no, we want Becky to win. So then they had Charlotte beat me at SummerSlam, which was the exact thing people did not want to see. And then they had me turn on Charlotte to make me the bad guy. But I knew, everybody knew, oh, this is going to make me an even bigger babyface. Except the Office didn't know that. I don't know what they were thinking, but they thought that because Charlotte was such a much bigger star, that people would get it, and they would
fall in line.
They would fall in line. But at that time, I think the audience is more keen to follow the stories and play along with the stories, regardless of what they feel these days. Right then, they did not want to be told what to feel. They were like, no. This is our girl. This is who we want to succeed. We're going with it. So when I turned on her and slapped the bejesus out of her and threw her into barricade, the place lost it. And then I turned into a more serious character.
And then the breakthrough was...
And then week after week, you would see it was growing. It wasn't fading away. Nobody was booing. They were behind me. And then what happened at... an event in Kansas was there was this melee. I was supposed to be wrestling Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series, which was the following week. And instead, Nia Jax punched me in the face, broke my nose. I was concussed beyond, like, I didn't have a clue what was going on, but I continued on. I knew the spot. I went on and I ended up at the top of the arena in the crowd, face bloody, smiling, arms out, and it became this, for lack of a better term and propping myself up, this iconic image of this girl, defiant, blood running down her face, and kind of cemented where I was at that time. And then people wanted to see me main event WrestleMania because they knew that this match with Ronda Rousey wasn't going to happen at Survivor Series. And they were so hyped about it. And I always wanted to main event WrestleMania. But more than that, I never wanted it to be a token gesture. I never wanted it to be, okay, well, now it's time to give the women a shot. I wanted it to be because there was no other option. The people wanted this match more than anything. They galvanized behind us, and that's what we got.
Yeah. What I love about that story...
Sorry, that was a very long story.
But now people are now fully caught up.
But you did say...
Tell it like you never told me.
Tell it like I never told it before.
What I love...
But I have to give you the backstory.
No, that was perfect.
Yeah, okay.
What I love about the man story, there's a story of, the movie Borat?
Yes.
So there's
Never saw it, actually.
Really?
Yeah. No,
right,
I know.
Well, I'm going to... Before, I think it's actually during the TV show, but Sacha Baron Cohen, for those things, when he meets people, he's Borat the entire time. And in one segment, he was doing a wine tasting, and he got really, really drunk. He got blackout drunk, Borat did, and passed out in the bathroom. And the producers were scared he was going to wake up as Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh.
And he woke up as Borat, and that's when they knew we can do anything with this person. And what I like is, like, somehow you're concussed, and then your body's like, I am the man regardless of where my brain is at. What gives a person the presence of mind at that point?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's like some sort of subconscious, but it's adrenaline. Like, that's not the first time that I've been concussed in a match or in a thing, and you just keep going. It's like, I don't know if there's some sort of adrenaline, some sort of muscle memory, some sort of a thing. But like, as soon as the red light was off and I came through the doors, I was like, where am I? Did I break my neck? What's happening? I'm scared. you know? Which was the exact opposite of what I was showing out in the arena.
So you and Charlotte were pit against each other, both like in stores. You were fighting each other a lot, and also I think like in position in the industry, like you were being pit against each other, like who will be the ascending character. How did that impact your friendship?
Yeah, but badly. Yeah, poorly.
You don't say.
Poorly. Yeah, poorly. Yeah, poorly. And look, I suppose that's as well the business, and you've got two very competitive women who want to be the top of the industry. And, yeah.
Obviously there's a scarcity mindset always with wrestling. There's only so much time on television. There's only so many belts. But did it feel more intense as the women being like, there probably be only one person who can break through at any time?
Yes. Yes, especially at that time, I think. Yeah, I think you're right in that. I think it might be better now, but also maybe that's not a great thing. I don't know. I mean, it's wonderful for mental health.
Yeah.
And stability in life. But no, the other thing about it is high tides raise all ships, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do think we need to work together to tell the best stories, but sometimes the best stories are the ones with the most animosity.
Yeah.
So if you can do that in a civilized way, though there are, emotions, because oftentimes you have to say the real hurtful things to get people to go, oh, now I want to see them fight. So it takes a very thick skin to be able to get through that. And we were on the road nonstop. It is very hard to be balanced.
Yeah.
When you are working 6 days a week, traveling from town to town, you're wrestling every single night. You're getting in your car, you're driving 4 hours to the next town, then you got to wake up early, you got to do media, you got to get to the gym, you got to find somewhere to get your own food, and you're doing this all yourself. We don't have, especially at that time, like now We're very lucky. Myself and my husband, we have a nice bus. We're driven. We can sleep. Then, no. It was you have to get your rental cars. You have to find your hotels. You have to find your food. You have to find your gym. You know, so it was all those things where we weren't catered to. And so, you know, when you don't get sleep, you can get a little cranky. You know, so and then you're trying to do this thing that's never been done, and you need a lot of piss and vinegar to do that.
Yeah.
But it was also so good because we weren't gonna. Neither of us were gonna sit back and let somebody else be the main event. We both wanted to be the main event,
and that was the energy needed.
And that was the energy needed, and hell, that's still the energy needed.
Yeah.
I need to bring back more of that energy. You know, I need to be the main event. You know, like it's. Because you want that. And you want that for the future. You want the women to be the main event. You don't want it to be, okay, we can only put the guys in the main event. The guys are going to main event the pay-per-view. No, why not us?
Yeah.
You know? And sometimes I think we might need to fight a little bit more to make sure that happens.
Do you think if you and Charlotte had another run, it would be helpful for your friendship or hurt your friendship?
Yeah, maybe now. Maybe now. I think we're both older, more settled, and we did that once.
Yeah,
you know, we've done it.
Yeah,
we got there.
Yeah, you did that.
We got to the tippy top.
Yeah,
but also, both of us have that dog in us.
Yeah,
where we both want to be on the top. You know,
it sounds very exciting.
Which is good.
Yeah. In the book, you describe the actual experience of main eventing WrestleMania itself, the match itself, as a bit of a letdown, and because of stuff with the ending. Can you explain what it was? What was it in you? I mean, I imagine, how can it not be? It's like a mythical thing, and now you're doing.
Of course.
So what did that feel like? How did you process the being at the mountaintop opposed to the climb of the mountaintop?
Yeah, you just get there and you go, huh? All right. What else? Well, look at that mountain over there.
Yeah.
How do I get over there? You don't. I think that's the thing. When you've built something up, you kind of think that on the other end of it, it's going to be something.
Yeah.
And it's never anything. And it is. It's just such a cliche, but it's all about the journey. Like, it's not. You get there and you think fireworks are going to go off. And by the way, there was fireworks going off. There
literally.
was pyro, but at the same time, you're just like, yep, all right. All right. I had a match.
Yeah.
Like I've had the night before and the night, you know what I mean? Like every week before this. And tomorrow I will get up very early in the morning. I'll do some media and I'll go out and I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Because there's no break. There's no off season. You don't settle into it.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, I did my job. This is still my job, even though it's the main eventing WrestleMania.
Yes.
So I want to talk about now WrestleMania 38, 2022's WrestleMania 38, where you went up against Bianca Belair. Can you describe just sort of that arc?
Yeah. So 2020 happened. 2020 happened, and I decided that would be a great time to sneak in a child, you know, while there's no audiences in the building, and proved to be a great idea. So I had come back SummerSlam after having my daughter, 2021, and my comeback was they decided that it'd be good if I turned heel, which the audience wasn't prepared for. So when I came out and I beat Bianca Belair in 26 seconds, they were furious because Bianca's awesome. She's amazing. She's incredible. She's everything that you want in a superstar and more. And they were mad for her, which is wonderful. I mean, they were proper mad though, which I don't think you want, but I do want it because I'm like, that's the point. I'm the bag. You're supposed to hate me. You're not supposed to think that I'm cool. I'm supposed to be horrible and diabolical. And so they told me that the plan would be to give it back at WrestleMania, that we wouldn't touch until then. They quickly went back on their word and they wanted us to wrestle pretty much all the way to WrestleMania. And it was a bit of a fight. No, it was a massive fight to try and maintain this match.
I believe you described this time as you were the most difficult you were?
No, actually, I was most difficult when I was the man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
It mattered so much to you?
one, it mattered so much to me, but two, we had two very different visions of what that looked like. And sometimes when you're a babyface, they want you to be vulnerable. But that wasn't the character. Nobody wanted to see me be vulnerable. They wanted to see me kick ass and be a badass. And okay, yeah, you can slip on a banana skin, but they don't want to see you hobbling around on crutches for 2 frickin' months. You know what I mean? So anyway.
Yeah, and this, I guess you also described it as the most enjoyable time as a professional wrestler.
Now, this was the most enjoyable time because now I was here.
Era.
And so the other thing about being a babyface is it's all about you. You have to be the most likable because that's what the audience needs. The audience needs to be behind you. So you have to fight for yourself, which is very difficult. However, when you're a heel, your job is to make sure that the people like the good guy the most. So that makes it much easier because I'm not fighting for me. I'm fighting for her.
Yeah.
You know, and I can be the butt of the joke. That's easy. You know, I can be ridiculous and I can make myself unlikable. That is my job. You can do no wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a difference between fighting for yourself and fighting for somebody else. Fighting for somebody else feels a lot nicer. Otherwise, you just kind of feel selfish. But you have to be.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this: the match itself is one of the greatest matches I've ever watched. It really is. Like, in terms from a storytelling perspective, it is like, if anyone who's never watched a wrestling match before, like, I would recommend it to people. And the work you do is so good in it. And there's 2 moments I want to talk to you about because I absolutely love them. I've been talking about them all week, which is, so towards the end, Bianca does some sort of move on you and you roll out the ring. Then she grabs you and rolls you back in the ring. And then you just keep on rolling to the other side of the ring. And it's brilliant, but it's also like a really silly thing to do towards the end of the match at WrestleMania. And I think the audience likes when people are tough. Yeah. They want the wrestlers to always be tough, heel or face. They're just like, they don't like when people are not fighting. So there's something at that moment to see you do like what is a very cartoonish thing to do. And I think you like being silly. And are able to
too much sometimes, yeah.
Where does that come from?
The silliness? That's my personality, you know. That's also why I found, which is why people liked me, in the first place. And then I became the man, and then that they liked the seriousness, but really it was the silliness before that kind of got them, and then the man kept them, you know. But at the core of me. I'm just a ridiculous human being.
Did you consider not doing that because it is such a silly thing to do?
I
don't know if you remember, but
so I think it was positioning. I think we may have ended up in one place when we needed to be at another place, and then you got to get there somehow. So
you don't care.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just get there. You know, but also you want to. If you're in that desperate situation, you know, you need to get, and that girl is strong. Like she is so strong.
That's crazy.
You want to get yourself away from a Bianca Belair if she's coming after you.
The other moment is, it's pretty soon after that, you reverse something and you try to pin her and she kicks out and then she's lying on her stomach and then you just sort of like, you start punching her back and then you start just flailing on her back and what looks like it have a nervous breakdown. And then that leads toward the end of the match. Do you remember what's going in your head in that moment?
No. Absolutely not. No.
Are you in when you're in those matches, is it like a flow?
A flow state, yeah. Like a match like that's a total flow state. You get in, there's some matches where it's more methodical, where you really have to be thinking. For multiple parts of the match, and you kind of don't get to relax and get into that state. But when you're in there with somebody like Bianca, who you know is so good and who can take care of herself, and you don't have to be thinking for her, then you really can do anything.
Yeah.
That's when it's the most fun, is when you're in there with somebody you can go toe to toe. You know that they're gonna roll with you. You know that they're going to know what to do, that their instincts are right on the money. And then you're free. It's not always the case. Sometimes, with younger talent, you have to make sure that they're in the right spot, and you have to be very focused and very on. But it is hard to just lose yourself in that, because you have to kind of have,
like
eyes
F1.
everywhere, Yeah. Sure.
I'm just imagining it's sort of like the goal is that one part where you just are doing it. You lose that match.
Yes.
But it is the match of the weekend, generally in terms of what was considered the best match of the weekend.
You should have been the main event. Well, should have been the main event.
Yeah.
Should have been the main event.
How do you feel afterwards of that match in comparison?
Amazing. Because we paid off the story in the most amazing way. And what was so incredible about Bianca, and I could write a book about how amazing she is, but when I took that title from her, and I know how upset she was, because she thought like, oh, they don't believe in me anymore. They think I'm doing a bad job and I get squashed in this way. But she was so gracious. She was, I'm so happy. She could be like, this bitch is coming in, taking my spot. She's been gone. I've been here putting in the hard work. And now I just have to roll over for her. And I always wanted to pay it back to her in the biggest way possible. And the fact that we were able to get there, and we had to fight, because at one point they wanted to put somebody else into the match, like make it a triple threat. But I was like, that's not the story. And that was going to be my hill that I died on. I was ready to really fight, and thankfully they changed it, because it needed to go back to Bianca. If it had gone to the triple threat, they would have kept it on me. But the story needed for Bianca to win and take that victory. And it just felt like such a happy, perfect ending.
Yeah. How are you feeling about WrestleMania 42? It's coming up.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Good. Great.
This will be your 11th WrestleMania, but your 10th proper match, because you did the Battle Royale one time. If I did the correct count correctly.
So it's actually my 10th WrestleMania. I'm pretty sure. I do count the Battle Royal, but because I missed 1 year when I had my daughter.
Yeah. Anyway, either way, 10 is a round number enough to ask a question of.
So it ends up being
How's your approach evolved? Just to the idea of WrestleMania from, let's say, even your first one to this.
Yeah, more relaxed, I suppose. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're like, okay, I've been here before. It's the same thing. It's the same ring.
Yeah.
Nothing's different about the actual ring. Nothing is different about my job.
Size.
My job is the same. Sure, the hullabaloo about WrestleMania is big. It's gigantic. It's huge. It's like Super Bowl. But we still got to play the game.
Yeah.
And the game is the game that I play every week.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty good at the game. Pretty good at the game, And so I'm so proud of that Intercontinental title. I'm so proud of where it is and how it's been represented and how it is elevated, and it's I think I may be biased, but I'm also right that it's the most interesting women's title, and it has been for the last year. And so
I wonder why that is.
I wonder why that is. Who could it be? And so it's going to get represented on the biggest stage of them all, and I'm going to take it back. And also this is AJ Lee. It's her first WrestleMania in 11 years, and I remember seeing her at her last WrestleMania, and the very next day she was gone. So I feel like, and I saw her backstage before her last WrestleMania, and now, but I was just practically a fan at that point, and now I'm the man.
Yeah. So AJ was part of the Divas era, the sort of era that preceded y'all. And in your book, you don't particularly speak fondly of that time period. That you talk about coming up in NXT, and that was sort of what was happening at WWE, and resenting sort of the expectations that you'd fight like the Divas fight. Well, you were saying they're not allowed to punch or something.
Yeah, no, they weren't allowed to punch.
How did that, being what the expectation of female wrestlers, impact you when you were coming up? The Divas
So
image.
it was one of those things where you kind of had to fall in line before you could break out of it.
Yeah.
So you had to, like, God, Jesus, I remember trying to stick on like hair extensions and freaking fake eyelash, and I knew nothing about this stuff. But it was like, this is what you had to do, and you had to go. God, oh my God, all the women's wrestlers had to go out in the middle of the show on live events and dance in the ring to Let's Get Loud and throw out t-shirts. Like, this is what and this was 2014.
I know.
2015. Like, what are we freaking talking about? You know, and this was what we were doing. We were dancing and throwing out t-shirts.
Yeah.
Get with it. You know, so what was the question?
Well, I think I just remember in the book, like especially starting out, it seemed like you had some
Right.
body image issues, and the divas. It seems like the divas exacerbated how you already would.
Right,
feel.
and obviously not them.
Yeah.
It wasn't their fault.
No,
you
they
know,
weren't like
but
we-
yeah. But that was the expectation. But so it felt like, okay, well, you gotta be a looker, and you gotta do the dance moves, and then once you are established in that role, then you got then you can break out. Then you can show that you can be more serious. But first, you got to be a diva. And you know, yeah. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
You know, and but I also, for AJ Lee, I think she was somebody who also rejected that. And I think that's why people liked her, and that's why people gravitated to her, because she wanted to wrestle and she wanted to not be a diva, but she would sometimes have to fall in line. And so I think for her, and this is going to be the only nice thing that I ever say about her, but I think to come back in this time and to be able to do it again, I think probably feels very meaningful to her. I didn't really say anything nice about her.
I was about to say, you didn't give her a compliment.
No, I didn't give her a compliment.
In many ways, you're giving yourself a compliment.
I'm
by
giving
saying,
myself a compliment.
It feels better that she gets to wrestle against you.
Yes, she gets to wrestle me. And isn't that nice?
Yes, I think that was your compliment to her.
That was my compliment to her.
So last year, you returned, you took a year off, and you returned.
10 months.
10 months.
Yeah.
About a year off. But in that time period, you did a variety of acting gigs, and specifically, you're in Happy Gilmore too. Do you have any stories of working with Adam Sandler?
Oh, he was great. Yeah, he was amazing. Like, what a guy. He just does it all there. He does it all. Like, he's directing and then acting. But like, obviously we had a wonderful director, but he would, like, you know, kind of help with that and be jumping behind the camera, and he's producing all that kind of stuff. Like, he's rewriting the script as he goes, and giving notes here, there, and wherever, and all with a smile on his face. And he's so good to everybody, and he creates this atmosphere of kindness and joy, and everybody's so happy to be there.
What was it like getting
on a
cast?
movie like Happy?
Getting cast? Was it a direct to Adam casting?
I don't know.
You just got the offer.
I got the off. I got the audition, and it was kind of one of those ones where, like, the audition came, and the audition was so silly. It was like pure silliness, you know, in terms of, and it wasn't in any way related to the character, actually, because it was to kayfabe.
Yeah.
What's another word for kayfabe?
Oh, in the acting sense?
Yeah.
So it was just like in character. It was just sort of to see how you can be in the world.
Yeah, but it wasn't anything of the script. It was
just sort of see what
protect the script.
Yes.
Yeah. Kayfabe is just a great word.
It's a very useful word for that.
It's a very useful word. I don't know that there's a term in
Not
the
anymore.
English vernacular, right?
Now I think kayfabe is slowly becoming the term people use outside of wrestling.
So it's made it into the zeitgeist. Great. So anyway, it was a kayfabe script, and so anyway, I did it, and I did it, you know, in my as real as I could, but also ridiculous.
Yeah.
And got it, but I was like, this isn't. Yeah, I'm not gonna get this. But then I got it.
Yeah. MJF, who's also a wrestler, is on the show.
Great
He works
lad.
for another place.
Yeah.
when you're outside of the world, what is it like working? Like, I'll say this, like, I know a lot of comedians, and they'll be at parties, and if they see another comedian, even if they don't know each other, they're like that. What's it like?
That was exactly what it was like. I think he's so great. I love him. And honestly, I'll be honest, I thought he'd be an asshole. Like his character, he's so good at his character that I was like, oh, I'm gonna hate this guy. And he's just the sweetest boy. He's so nice. And he was so great. And he was such a great conversation. It was such a great chat. And we bonded instantly. And I love him.
That's funny that you
I totally bought the act. And now I'm killing the act, so sorry. But no, I think he's great and he's wonderful. And he was so great in the movie.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's just a fantastic little speaker and actor. And and he's also so young still. So I'm so very excited to see where his career goes. And
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a trained actor. In that
Yes.
time period you were away from wrestling, you went to acting school and
I did.
you've had these acting roles. How does that impact how you approach your character work in wrestling?
That's a good question. I think at the very core of it, I like to do character work, and I like to vary what I do, so I think it makes me a little bit more adventurous in that way. I don't really stick to one thing. I go, okay, what do I want to explore now? And what stories do I want to tell? Okay, these are the stories that I want to tell. So who do I have to be as a vehicle to tell those stories?
Paul Heyman once said the goal is to be able to be yourself while in character. What does that mean? You didn't explain what that meant. I was curious what that means to you. If it means anything.
Well, everywhere you go, you bring yourself. You know what it is? So I think that's the thing that you learn in acting. I think you're always trying to escape yourself, but you never can. So you have to bring different aspects of yourself, and they have to feel truthful, so that you can explore them in a way that feels realistic.
Yeah. When you're building a character, do you pull in outside influences or
Yes.
observations of people, politicians maybe?
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, that's there's a well of inspiration that if you just look into the modern ecosphere, you can find something to emulate.
Yes,
and
especially when you're
quite
looking
easy.
for heels.
Especially when you're looking for heels. Like, there's certain people out there that might, even though we think it would be so ridiculous in pro wrestling, they might, deny losing or embellish their accomplishments and constantly attack those beneath them or that they view as beneath them, and never want to build an opponent up, which is usually what you do in wrestling. You want to build up your opponent, because if you lose, then you've lost to somebody. If you win, then you've beaten somebody. But sometimes you can look elsewhere and think that maybe there's another way to do it.
Yeah. So I was watching Unreal, and I was just thinking, and I was thinking also how you've really pioneered the use of social media, partly because you came up with exactly the time I was doing it. And I'm going to pitch you a theory that I sort of came up on, which is my term. It's called mirror kayfabe, which is essentially the inverse of the wrestling kayfabe, which is you're using reality to sort of bolster the show. And then I think with social media, everyone does a version of using fiction to sort of bolster their perception of like, this is the reality that I'm projecting. It's not just wrestling. Everyone's doing a version of this.
Yes, 100%.
I think what's interesting is, that's partly why I asked how I'm supposed to introduce you. It's like, do you think as wrestling is also meaning going on podcasts and stuff like that, do you think of it as like, okay, now I have sort of two different complementary personas?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It would be a bit odd for me to sit here in full character, maybe, though
people do it.
Possibly entertaining. But to answer some of your more historical questions, it would get into the weeds a little bit, And also, it's so interesting with professional wrestling that we now tell them that it's fictionalized and we have a whole show about it, and here's how the script is written, here's how they put their matches together, and people want to watch it. And as a fan, I would 100% want to watch it. That would have been my dream as a teenager.
100%.
Or like, give me, show me how the sausage is made. I want to know. Like, show me where the rabbit is in the hat. But we also don't.
Yeah.
It's such a dichotomy. They want you to commit, but they also want to see behind.
Yeah.
And they, like, even the line, like, even the fact that we say kayfabe is now in the zeitgeist,
Yes.
you know, like
100%.
it is in the English vernacular, that shows that it's already dead.
Yeah.
And they say kayfabe is dead as such a derogatory thing, but the fact that you know what kayfabe is means that it was dead a long time ago. So nobody, if Bryan Cranston is on this podcast, you do not expect him to...
Did you know he's going to be on the podcast?
Is he?
He's going to be on Friday.
Is he? Oh my God.
Sorry, it's just like...
Right before WrestleMania, we went to see him in Network, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And he sat between me and my dad and had a conversation. And I was so mortified because he's my favorite actor and I just think he's incredible.
Yeah.
And anyways, but you don't expect him to sit... You will not expect him to sit here as Walter White.
No.
You know?
The only time is inside the actor studio. He'd be like, can I speak to the character?
Right.
But then even so, it's like a bit.
It's a bit. But he doesn't come on as Walter White.
No, it'd be very weird.
But there's an expectation with wrestlers that we should come on. But also there's that old school part of me that wants to.
Yeah, I think
so it's an interesting...
It's a dance.
It is a dance.
Because I think it's like... and maybe this is too much in the weeds, you can tell me, but like, people are too sophisticated at this point to tell them nothing, but no one really wants to know everything.
Yes.
No one actually wants to, instead of eating sausage, just watch sausage being made.
But they also do.
They want to, but you can't give them every single thing.
But they do. That's why there's dirt sheets. That's why there's wrestling journalists. Yeah. Because people want to know everything. They don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah.
But obviously they do, because there's a huge market for wrestling spoilers. You know, like, here's what's going to happen at WrestleMania. Here's what's going to, here's what's going to happen at the end of Raw. Well, good. If I'm going to a movie, I don't want to be spoiled, but I do also want to be spoiled.
I know. It's
you
so
know
hard
what I mean?
to
There's a market for it, and there wouldn't be a market if people didn't want it.
Yeah, I think what you're all are able to do, especially as you're like trying to figure out, can we give them something that we, not just have them turn to the dirt sheets. Essentially, like, the example I use is the magician's Penn and Teller. I don't know if you're familiar with their general shtick, but essentially, like, they pioneered telling the audience, we're doing a magic trick right now.
Okay.
And then still doing a magic trick. But the real trick, what included, we're going to tell you you're doing a magic trick, but still allow the magic trick to happen. I think there's some version of, like, we acknowledge there's an office and there's meetings, but then still do the magic trick and hopefully maintain the magic trick quality.
Yes.
Because of you can't have,
Which is where it comes back to when you talked about me and Charlotte and that tension.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. That's the golden thing. It's we know that it's all fake, but we want to believe that they hate each other. So what are the meanest things that we can say about each other, but it has to be real, because otherwise they won't buy it.
Yeah.
So you're constantly digging to find new layers to make sure that people believe it, that it's happening in real life, to make sure that they want to see it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Thank you for indulging.
No, I mean, it's great. It's so interesting. But I could go on.
I know.
I could talk about it for hours. Like, what is the interest, but where should it lie? And where, like, should we just all live in kayfabe? But now we're branching out, and like, historically, wrestlers who all lived in kayfabe, but after wrestling, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have anything to go to. Now we're building brands and we're doing all these other things, and we're
I think
you
it's
know
also
we're thinking of the afterlife
I imagine it's also
because it doesn't last forever.
hard because the people who knows what lines the fans draw. So it's like online, they see you online and they might be bullying you because they're like, you're this heel and we don't like you. Or they see you in an airport and they don't know. And I think I imagine it. But it's what interesting and sort of complicated is like, where is the space? We're all figuring it out. And it's why it's an exciting art form because it will evolve in this sort of gray area that like a lot of art forms don't necessarily get to explore.
Yes, exactly. But the other thing about it is it's this beautiful inclusive theater where the audience are really part of it.
Yeah.
They really are. They're the third scene partner. Like, it's one of those things where you cannot in any way disregard their impact and however they feel, because it's all valid.
Yeah.
Like whether they think this sucks or that sucks or whatever sucks or this is awesome, that's awesome, and I may not agree with it, but hey, great.
Yeah.
You are involved and you also have your voice does matter collectively. You know, and there's so many opinions that you also can't pay attention to them because otherwise it'll get in you and you won't be able to, you'll be trying to figure out how to please everybody. So you have to disregard, but also please continue. Please continue because we love your passion.
Yeah.
Your passion is what makes it all work. But then as an artist, okay, I need to service my audience, but also I need to service myself, and by servicing myself, I'll service my audience, and hopefully we'll stumble upon the same thing, and sometimes we'll hit it, sometimes we'll miss, but that's what's so beautiful.
It's the approach as much as,
Yes, but they have much more of a say in it than anything else.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to a theater, you sit there quietly and you watch as the show unfolds. They impact how the show unfolds, because if they're watching and you're supposed to be the good guy but they're booing the piss out of you, well, you got to be able to change course. However, in I'm talking about live theater, they're not gonna boo the piss out of the protagonist. You know?
But there is a version, they're not going to boo, but the opposite will happen.
We change the script and sorry, Arthur Miller, you're out of here. I'm doing my own thing.
But there's a little bit of the reverse will happen, which is if a famous actor in a play is playing the bad guy of the play, the audience will cheer when they come out, and the actor has to figure out how to work with it. And I think that is a direct
but they won't change.
Yeah, no,
they won't change the lines. They won't change the script. We can change the lines. We can change the script.
Yeah, it's better than theater. You heard it first.
It's and a lot more adrenaline, and a lot more fireworks, and a lot more pyro.
I want to talk a little bit about your legacy, and I was thinking that I would argue the decision to relinquish the title and have a kid is as revolutionary as main eventing WrestleMania. Considering...
Thanks, I think so too.
Considering, like, people... It was a career ender for women not too far in the past. Like, the era that we were talking about, you'd be like, oh yeah, of course, like, decades. Like, no, like, you were wrestling at a time where that was the case. So you agree? How did it feel? How scared were you? What did it mean to you to do it?
Well, like, yeah, personally, I well, you know, it's obviously that doesn't, it's not one of those things that, you know, is, you're not going to stand up, you won't get an audience cheering for you.
It's not going to be like your Hall of Fame credits are not going to be like left to have a kid and was it in 10-time championship or whatever.
Yes, yeah. But I do think that me doing that when I was at my hottest made it that other women can do this, and it's a thing that we won't go. We won't bat an eyelid at anymore, you know. Like we've seen it happen, and now you've got like little kids in the back, and they're playing, and women are coming, and they don't feel like it has to be either or. It's yes, I can have a family, and I can have a child, and I can figure it out. And obviously the schedule now is much easier. We were, you know, when I first had my daughter, we were still on the road and we were doing live events and traveling. So we were all gone for 4 days a week, and we were bringing her everywhere with us, and she was in all these different buildings. and she was a little road baby. Now, you know, you're gone one day a
Yeah.
week, you know, maybe a few more if you've got other things, but it's a much easier schedule, and it allows people to have that option much easier. But I think that was hugely important that I did it, and that people saw, okay, this isn't a career. And I also think that when I talked earlier that at 25, that was the cutoff.
Yeah.
Now it's not. And one of the things that I do think is important is that we see these veteran women around and still killing the game in the same way that the guys are. And I do think that sometimes there's an impulse to, okay, move over, move over in a way that is not, and I could be wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong. And please correct me if I'm wrong. This is one of those things that I think about and I have discussions about, you know, privately. But I want to know if I'm viewing things a little skewed or a little biased. But like, nobody is saying like, move over CM Punk, move over Seth Rollins, move over Roman Reigns, move over Cody.
Not in the same way.
Not in the same way. And
they'll acknowledge they're older, but they won't even be like they shouldn't be the top dogs anymore. They just be like, oh, what's WWE going to do? These guys are in their 40s.
Yes.
But they're not be like, they should not.
They need to
very
retire.
Small do you hear, oh, they should leave.
Yes.
In a way that I do feel like y'all get, and you and personally have gotten more specifically.
Yes. And I think it's important then to stay.
Yeah.
And this is when it comes back to acknowledging the audience, and yes, make all of the noise. But sometimes I have to tell you, no, you're wrong, you know, because I should be around, because I should prove that my career doesn't need to end when I'm 35 or 30, you know. I can still go. I can go. Yeah. And I feel like I've gotten better as I've gotten. But you know, like at this point, at this age, you go, Gunther is in his prime. Seth Rollins is in his prime.
Yeah.
But
you're the same age as Seth.
On the flip side, it's not the same. So we do need to change that narrative, and it will change over time. But you have to be there and stay in it to make sure that it changes.
So I'm not sure if you know this, but Sports Illustrated and Bleacher Report call you the greatest female wrestler of all time.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you've heard about this.
First time I've heard that.
What does that mean to you?
I should say that actually in a promo.
Yeah, I think it really bolsters your credits.
Yeah, engineer the longest catchphrase of all time. What does it mean? It's very nice. It's very complimentary.
I'll put it this way. There's sort of two options as a person who's in that position at this point. They either will go, I don't want to be on that list. I want to be in the top 10 wrestlers of all time list, and that's my goal.
Well, I'm in the top 20.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
And I want to be top 1, whatever. Or there's if I do my job, like you said.
According to Sports Illustrated, I believe, again. Right. Yeah, top 20.
So there you go.
17.
So your goal is like, can you get to 1? Or, as you said in Unreal, you said, I've already achieved everything. How can I make this industry better? How can I be good at being bad? And how will I get Lyra over? This is about Lyra's story. And I think that goal is, so in 10 years, 15 years, you are not number 1 anymore. Like, if you succeed in that mission, you will make it so much better that someone would replace you. Where are you at personally in terms of those two somewhat disparate goals?
Yeah, you're right. Look, it's all so subjective, isn't it? You know, like what is greatness?
Yes.
What I think is great might not be what somebody else thinks is great. And trying to cling to what somebody else thinks is great, I'm sure, is a surefire recipe for misery.
Yeah.
You know, and so I can only do what I think is right and what feels right to me. I think I put this at the start of my book, and it was what my dad used to always say. I think it was in the Bible, actually. But if you bring forth what's within you, what you bring forth will complete you. And if you do not bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will destroy you. And I think that's a kind of a great phrase. And you have to bring what feels right to you. And what feels right to me is throwing down the ladder and saying, all right, let's go, guys. But also guys, come on, let's go. Let's freaking go to the main event. Let's go. We have to keep that. We have to keep that energy. Let's not be complacent. We got to go now.
Yeah, I imagine.
And I want to go there too.
Yeah.
You know?
Your greatness is partly defined by the ladder pulling up of people. Like, if you're actually to be of the many things a great wrestler can do in their career is main event WrestleMania, but also as they are closer to the end of their career to the beginning, figure out ways that their legacy continues.
Yeah, and I suppose that's it's bigger than me, right?
Yeah.
Like if I leave this place better than I found it and it continues to get better, and if my daughter in 20 years decides that she wants to be a wrestler, that I know that she can be the headliner of any show, well then that's far better than somebody putting me on a list and saying, I thought she was good.
Yeah. It is really
because I'll know that I was good.
One of the most pro Nepo baby industries.
And I was always against it.
Until now. Now you're like...
Unless it's about to be Monday Night Raw, and then...
It is funny. Like, that is your defining arc is against it. And now you're like, it's actually like really refreshing. That
but she will have grown up in it, so she'll have a lot of insight.
Even personally, when you bring her up, is it partly, how do you think about how you want to currently use her, or even in general? Like, not on camera. I mean, she's on camera on Real, but like, yeah, I don't know what my question is. Like, how do you
use her?
Have her be part of the world alluded to.
Well, that's that's another interesting part about wrestling.
There you go.
Which is that our real lives come into play so much, and they can't, and that's what's so interesting, because we are not so far apart from our characters. I mean, yes, we can be, but it's all reality needs to intersect with this fictional world. And so she is brought in, and she has both her parents are wrestlers and characters on the show, but so was Stephanie, and so was Shane, and Dominic Mysterio, so there's this intersection where, you see Cody Rhodes' daughter out in the front row, Libby.
Yes.
With her daddy, you see that happening all the time. So, yeah, I don't. She's a little bit of a performer, but she's also shy. I don't know. Yeah, we'll figure it all out.
Yeah, how much do you care about headlining WrestleMania again, main eventing WrestleMania again?
At one point, I might have said I did that once, and I did do that once. And that was good. And that's more than a lot of people can say. I think we counted, how many main eventers are currently in the company? And then my husband often says that he doesn't count night one. So and
it's true. Yeah.
Well, no, I think this is the way of him keeping that chip on his shoulder of I haven't main evented night two yet. Because he says if it was still a one night event, then night two.
Where if there was 2 nights your year, you still would have been night 2.
I would have been night 2.
And he would have been night 1, maybe.
And he was the opener. He would have, maybe he would have been, he would have been night 1. I don't know though. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think a main event is a main event because each show lives by itself.
Yeah.
People buy tickets to night 1.
Yeah.
Not everybody buys tickets to both nights. So therefore it is an event in its own right. But even in that, if you look at night 1, I think we have 15 main eventers on the roster right now, maybe a bit less. And I think it comes down to 6 or 7 if you think of it as night 2 or whatever. So it's rarefied air. However, I think we can condition our audience too much to think, okay, these are the 2 men that main event. And these are the only 2 people that are our main event. And when we do that, we constantly condition the audience that they feel that. So I think it's important that we recondition.
Yeah.
And whether it is me or it is Rhea Ripley, who deserves to be there, or it's Bianca Belair, I do think it's important. It's important that we show women main eventing, but it also has to be the story. But we also need the story, you know. So I do think we can't become too complacent, and so maybe that, and whether it's me or it's somebody else,
you want it to happen, and if it has to be you, it will be you.
If not me, then who? You know what I mean? Yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
That's a very long-winded kind of roundabout way of saying, screw it, let's fight. You know? All right, lads, let's throw down. All right, move out the way. I'm coming in.
So now time for the final segment. It's not really a lightning round, but it's the same questions you ask at the end every time. You can take as much time as you need. And you can pass if you don't have an answer to any of these.
Oh, I like this as a lightning round. Thanks.
So it's just sort of like, they're just things we put at the end. Do you have a short story of an interaction with a legendary wrestler, living or dead, you're willing to share with us?
Oh, gosh, You
got to pick one.
Many.
I mean, I can name the most famous wrestlers. You can decide who you want. I mean, there's John Cena, there's Mick Foley, there's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Stone Cold Steve Austin are probably 4 of the most famous. You got any of those?
Oh, God. It's something that's not in my book.
Yeah, ideally.
Ideally, something that's not in my book.
You can come back to it. Or
let me come back to it.
Who's the best living wrestler?
It's extremely biased. Extremely biased. Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Well, but I will say I don't know that people realize the influence that he's had. I think there's a whole style that has come from him. And I don't know that he'll maybe get credit for that until he retires.
Yeah.
But he has influenced a generation in ways that, like in the way that people wrestle, in the way that people put matches together. And that man sits at the monitor every single show. And anybody that comes up, he tells them. He is on his phone constantly because he has students that come to his school. And once they graduate, they can send him matches, and this man will watch every single one of them and critique in a way that I have never seen before. And he's always been like that. He's a savant of wrestling. He has a mind. And I know it's my husband, but even before he was my husband, he is the man that I would go to. And I look back and I was like, oh, this guy was only 27. You know, but he's always had that mind for it. And you see it in wrestling. Like everybody does a superplex into something. That's it. Like there's so many things that you can point to that you go, oh, that was Seth Rollins. And I don't know that he necessarily gets credit for it. But and Michael Hayes, one of the greatest of all time and just an absolute living legend, said it to me. He goes, I think your husband is got one of the best minds that I've ever seen in wrestling. And he's right.
Yeah. What's the best time you ever bombed? Do you use bombing?
The best time that I've ever bombed?
Like a time where in your case, a match went so poorly, but in a way that you can laugh at it or appreciate.
I don't know that I laugh at any of my failures. I don't. It eats me up inside. And that's how it should be. You should take, like, it's a silly business, right? It's silly. It's pageantry, but you should take it so seriously that if you fuck up, you lie awake for weeks on end thinking about that. You give yourself 20 lashings. You deserve it because you messed up. Those people paid their hard-earned money to see you do something right, and you let them down. Let that eat at your soul. If I see somebody come back after they fucked and they're laughing about it, no. You lay awake at night, and I'll tell you it's fine. But inside, they really have to be beating themselves up. And I'm like, it's fine. Relax. It's fine. It's only wrestling. We'll get to do it again. I might say that.
Yeah.
But if it was me, I'd be beating myself up because that's how you get better. And that's how you get better.
Yeah.
That's how you improve. And actually, that was a nice little moment that I had with John Cena, is because I had a match.
Yeah.
I had a match where I came back and it was at SummerSlam and I hated it and I was so mad at myself. And he was like, well, you'll get to do it again. And I was like, well, no. And he was like, well, did you do your best? Yes, I did my best. Well, then there's nothing else you can ask for. Yes, I can. I'm going to beat myself up, John. This is my, and he's like, well, if that's your process. I was like, yes, it is. And it was my process. And it lasts until you have a home run.
Yeah.
And then the next night I went out there, I had a promo with Nikki and it was a home run. And I did also drop John Cena's name. And he texted me afterwards and he said, well, look, there you go.
Mhm.
Last night's gone, you know? All you needed was a home run. And I said, well, yes, thank you. And I also needed to drop your name in order to get that home run, but it worked.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.